Yeah, you better be there because you're doing a presentation there, Chicky Poo. Bennett didn't show up. Fabulous. Yes. Who's in the room with you?
Lauren Brooks, you made minutes. That's me. It's about her. Oh. So it's all, okay. Yeah, uh, Boston? Yeah, we thought we'd been by now.
Yeah.
Now it's looking like March or April.
Okay.
And, our landlords are selling the place that we're looking at. They close into January or February. Unfortunately, federal credit, all this place. So,
That's right.
it's gonna be like Amir, did you need a parking pass? Garage across the street?
I think it is.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else parking pass for the garage?
You'll have this be a campus parking garage, so.
No, sadly not. Sadly not.
Then, good.
Well, thank you.
So I'm here representing City of Kansas City, but my name is not there. You can just take one of the city.
What is your name?
Samantha Flores. I know it happened for the other meetings, because I am part of the other meeting.
Samantha, we will just have to get you one for next time.
I'm not sure what gonna be doing it all the time. I'm just here instead of ahead.
Well, thank you for attending. Michelle, did you need to?
I do get.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Are you a member today or observer?
Hey, Margaret, how are you?
Either way.
Good, happy New Year.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Margaret.
Oh, why are you coming? Well, it's busy. Sorry.
That's okay.
Usually I'm a little more.
It's all right. It's like we have.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because Achilles.
2, 3, 4, 5, plus one, not yet approved lesson.
Oh, okay. That was the time. It's right on time. Oh, gosh. I'm embarrassed.
You're good.
I'm right at 129 by my watch.
Oh, perfect. Verizon time says it's 1:30. I watched the ball drop. We were like, even on some TV station, and then we're like, wait a minute, I hear fireworks. And so we looked, I'm like, wait, it's midnight. And then the New York ball drop, I guess whatever we were watching, it was still delayed by at least a minute.
That's one.
Yeah. Should we go ahead and get started?
Sure can.
Call to order and introductions. Okay, so good afternoon and happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to the TPO ITS committee meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. Then Cheryl, we need introductions. She'll do the roll call in a minute. I'm Margaret Kibblins. I'm with the city of Tampa and I'm the smart mobility manager there. Right?
Hello there, I'm Brian Zayas. I'm with Hillsborough County Traffic Management Center.
I'm Amir Khawaja. I'm with the city of Temple Terrace. I'm the engineer one there.
Hi, I'm Michelle Jenkins. I'm with the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County. I'm standing for Jeff Sims.
Perfect, thank you.
Samantha Flores for City of Glen City. I'm here in person for Fred. He's online too. And I'm a project manager for City of Glen City.
All right, thank you.
Yep, Dexter Corbin, I'm with HART, the Transit Authority. I'm the director of IT.
And Wade Reynolds, Hillsborough TPO, is sitting in for shotgun today.
Perfect. Few substitutes here. Okay, well then why don't we have Cheryl go ahead and do the roll call, please?
Actually, Gail's online for that, but good morning, good afternoon and Happy New Year. Just as a point of note, Ms. Flores is not going to be a voting member today, as she is on the TPO board approval list for their meeting next Wednesday for this committee. Okay, so I'll go through the roll call. Margaret Kubalins.
Here.
Brian Zayas.
Present here.
Amir, can you please pronounce your last name for me?
Khawaja
Amir Khawaja.
here.
Fred Baxter. I do see him online. Fred, you can unmute yourself if you would like. Anna Quinones. Sherry Callahan.
Here.
Dexter Corbin.
Here.
Michelle Jenkins.
Here.
Achilles Cortellis, I believe, is excused. Dr. Pei Sung Lin. Megan Areth. Edward Albatron. We do have an in-person quorum.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so now we move into our public comment period. Do we have anyone in the audience or online that is interested in making any comments to the ITS committee?
Steve to be prior, let me just check the chat. If anybody is interested online, they may type in the chat and request to be unmuted
Or raise your hand.
or raise your hand. Bruce Walney says, I cannot unmute myself, but I am here on behalf of Megan Araste and Ed Albritton for FDOT District 7. Thank you, Bruce. We will try to make sure you have those capabilities.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next order of business is review and approval of the minutes from our October 5th meeting. And those were shared within the agenda packet that had been emailed out to the committee. Does anyone have any comments in regard to the minutes or corrections? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
That was Brian Zayas.
And Zayas.
Do we have a second?
Second, Dexter Portman.
Okay, with that, we have a motion and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None being heard, the motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, action items. Go ahead, Wade.
Sure. The first one is the 2050 Plan Needs Assessment for Freight and Goods Movements, and also the Hillsborough County Truck Route Plan Update. You have Lauren Brooks here from AECom virtually to present that.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Again, I'm Lauren Brooks. I'm a senior transportation planner with AECom. I served as the consultant project manager for this effort. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Larissa Krinos and Leanne G., who were also transportation planners with AECom. I brought them to help answer some of the hard technical questions because they were the brains behind this operation, if you will. All right, so we have a jam-packed presentation, but I will try to be as concise as possible. We'll quickly go over how we tackled both of these efforts simultaneously, some of our findings, and then get into the two pieces that pertain specifically to the LRTP development. Okay, so why freight, why truck routes? I know they're not very glamorous, but I think everyone attending this meeting recognizes that they are essential to sustaining the economic vitality, not only of Hillsborough County, but also of the region, and also preserving quality of life goals of Hillsborough County residents. So really businesses and residents of Hillsborough County depend on freight movement. To kind of give a quick definition, you can consider goods movement as the system, so the shipping, circulation, and distribution of products to the businesses and households. And then truck routes are a component of that system in that they are the distribution artery, so to speak, connecting everything. So as I mentioned before, we kind of tackled two efforts simultaneously. We looked at updating the original Hillsborough County truck route plan that was prepared back in 2014, really assessing how the routes function today, how they will function based on future freight activity. Are there lower or underperforming routes that could potentially be removed or substituted with other roads of the network within Hillsborough County. So that was kind of the goods movement or needs assessment piece. I was really kind of looking at if there were other roads that could potentially be added to support the truck route network and or become part of that network. We also looked at network deficiencies or any hindrances in terms of efficient movement of freight. And then, of course, projects were a big piece of that, projects that could mitigate any hindrances to freight movement. And we did all of this through the lens of preserving safety, neighborhood context, and quality of life goals. So to quickly orient you and really for us to kind of hone in and achieve the results that we were seeking in conducting these two efforts, we decided that we would separate the entire Hillsborough County roadway network into three sub-networks, if you will. So we separated out the Hillsborough County truck routes alone, and then we divided the other remaining roads into those roads that were owned or maintained by Hillsborough County solely, and then all other roads owned or maintained by the cities, FDOT, THIA. with the purpose of, again, identifying if there were any roads within these two other sub-networks that could potentially become part of the Hillsborough County truck route network. I do want to emphasize that we did remove the limited access facilities just for the analysis portion solely. Limited access facilities being the interstates, Veterans Expressway, and then the I-4 connector. We didn't want to skew the results. And also those 5 facilities are really kind of considered the principal arterials for moving freight. So those are our key truck routes. So they should be preserved, if you will. We also thought it would be a helpful or a good approach to establish a common definition for truck. Truck means different things to different folks. So we use Federal Highway Administration's 13 vehicle category classification. So we're basically discussing motorized vehicles, class 6 or above. So anything that has 2 or more axles, that's what we're considering as a truck. All right, jumping into the analysis and findings, there were 4 major inputs to kind of establishing the framework for our analysis. The 3 inputs that I'll discuss first, those were really pertaining to input we received from the freight operators. So we conducted interviews with public and private operators of freight movement and trucking operations within Hillsborough County. And then we, of course, sought input from the public. So we established a MetroQuest survey that ran for about a month, asking folks to identify truck routing impacts that affected them personally, where those particular issues were occurring within the county, and then, of course, where should the TPO kind of invest the money to address some of those issues. We also looked at the complaints database that Hillsborough County maintains. So when a citizen reports an issue or concern, we sifted through those to isolate those comments or complaints that pertain specifically to trucks and truck issues and analyze those. We also went out to various neighborhoods and then piggybacked on meetings held by the Planning Commission when they were performing the update to the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. So again, we were trying to get a good cross-section of perspectives regarding truck routing issues and deficiencies of the network. The final input was data. We looked at an extensive number of data sets. Here's kind of a snapshot of a few that were reviewed. So we looked at truck route origin destination information from this organization called Replica. We looked at freight activity, of course, and then, as I mentioned before, context. So to ensure that we weren't going through residential areas with any new or proposed truck routes. So with all this data that we gathered, we separated the data into 2 categories. Our freight network factors, existing freight network factors, and then those factors or aspects that really pertain to performance. And then we also established evaluation criteria, which was really our way of combining the different factors and applying those factors to those 3 roadway sub-networks, if you will, and then looking at the different outputs from doing that. We took it a step further by also organizing the factors into freight attractors and freight detractors. So if you can imagine that the freight attractors are those elements or aspects that encourage freight activity or are more conducive for truck movement, goods movement, and then freight detractors are where we don't want trucks to go. So those are kind of more unfavorable conditions. Here are the three different sets of evaluation criteria. So again, we looked at just the truck routes solely, determining if there were any that were underperforming, if they were functioning, how they should be functioning, whether or not we wanted to either facilitate or discourage the movement of trucks within certain areas. And then, of course, we looked at the rest of the network and how if any additional roads were, how they were supporting the existing truck routes or supporting goods movement in general. The final criteria set, project impact evaluation criteria, I'll get into a little bit later because this pertained to the specific projects that we identified. So just to orient you quick, here's kind of like a resulting map based on the applying the factors in the evaluation criteria. So the red represents the existing truck routes as well as those routes that should be preserved, such as the I-4 connector, which was constructed after the Hillsborough County Truck Route Plan was in place. And then the purple and green lines represent those Hillsborough County owned or maintained roads, and then the other roads that were not part of the truck route network, but kind of surfaced in the sense that they have a large volume of trucks. They're in areas that have a lot of freight activity. So we analyze those to see if they should potentially be added to the truck route network. The dashed lines on the map are those existing Hillsborough County truck routes that we deemed as lower performing or underperforming, meaning they had lower truck volumes or they were in areas with kind of lower freight activity. So we tried to take a quantitative objective approach with our analysis. So we basically applied a numeric unweighted score to all of the factors. And the result was that anything that scored high for a freight attractor was considered more conducive for truck movement, freight activity. Anything with a low score, those were the unfavorable conditions or elements. And then the converse was true for the freight detractors. Anything with a high score was, again, considered an unfavorable condition, and a low score was better for freight. So I'll quickly review some of our findings. For those truck routes that were deemed lower performing, we recognize that a lot of those segments were in areas with limited freight detractors. So I guess that's a good thing. They're located in the right spot, so to speak. Two roads that did kind of surface that had some sensitive features within proximity to them and that had a number of comments that were either associated with them directly or kind of within that area were County Road 672 and Sims Road. So I think we could probably take a closer look at those two roads and seeing if they should continue to serve as part of the truck route network. The lower piece of Dale Mabry Highway and Inner Bay were also lower performing routes based on our initial analysis. However, we recommend that they be retained as part of the truck route network and that they, of course, provide critical access to MacDill Air Force Base as well as the fuel terminal off of Inner Bay. We also noticed that downtown Tampa had a number of redundant truck routes. So maybe there's opportunity to kind of revisit that and see if we can maybe be a little more strategic and just kind of focus on a few of the roads instead of all the roads, and in terms of how we want those roads to accommodate trucks. For those county roads or the roads that were owned and maintained by the county that were not part of the truck route, but surfaced as having, high truck volumes and serving freight activity. We noticed that there were a lot of segments of roadways or ramps that were constructed again after the truck route plan was in place. So kind of those flyovers or ramps from Kennedy, the memorial area leading into the airport. So all of kind of the West Shore interchange ramps and that reconfiguration, those should be added because those are important in terms of serving one of our regional freight hubs. George Bean Parkway, again, kind of came up to the top. And then Air Cargo Road in Drew Park. It's parallel to West Shore Boulevard within that area, but West Shore Boulevard actually has a gap. It's not a complete north-south segment, so it may make sense to designate Air Cargo Road as part of the route network instead of West Shore Boulevard. And then, of course, there are some gaps in the system, where truck routes are 1 mile or more apart. So we may want to address those to help deter trucks from cutting through neighborhoods. So there's opportunities within Plant City, Northwest County, and South County. So, and then for the first bullet, the same thing kind of applied as what I just mentioned. There were roads that were added after the truck route plan was in place, such as the I-4 connector, some of the interstate ramps within downtown Tampa. So again, we feel those should be added to the truck route network. There are also some inconsistencies between the Hillsborough County truck route plan and then roads designated by others, such as the FDOT Tampa Bay Regional Strategic Freight Plan has roads that they deem as important freight routes, and then City of Tampa has their own truck routes. So maybe there's opportunities to reconcile some of the differences between those plans. And then, excuse me, and then there's also opportunity to look at providing redundant access or connections to, again, our major hubs in the area, such as the airports, Port Tampa Bay, CSX rail yard. Okay, so I'll quickly jump into the pieces that pertain specifically to the long-range transportation plan. So we started off by reviewing all the plans that had proposed projects within them, such as the, of course, Hillsborough TPO Long Range Transportation Plan, the Hillsborough TPO Transportation Improvement Program, the FDOT Work Program, the FDOT Strategic Intermodal System, cost feasible plans. So we identified a laundry list of projects. If there were costs associated with those projects, we pulled those out. Where there were no costs associated, we reviewed similar projects within Hillsborough County or within the FDOT District 7 area and came up with a reasonable planning level cost for some of those. And then, of course, to compare apples to apples, we brought everything up to 2023 present day dollars. We then went through our list after, getting rid of duplicates and kind of cleaning it up. And we established 3 different investment levels. So the baseline investment level were all those projects that were currently funded within the first 5 years. So anything that was in the Hillsborough Transportation Improvement Program or the FDOT Work Program, those were part of our baseline. We then looked at those projects that could potentially be constructed by 2035, so kind of a smaller time horizon, and that were also lower in cost. So some of those projects included signage, signal timing. There were some projects that were more moderately priced, so to speak, or that also there were a few that did exceed 2 million that were in tier 1 due to the time horizon. And those kind of consisted of the intersection reconfigurations or resurfacings, and then, of course, new traffic signals. Tier 2 really pertain to those improvements that pertain to two specific projects, the I-275 widening and interchange improvements and the Gandy Bridge replacement. And all those exceeded 2 million and had a longer time horizon. I do want to mention that we did exclude all widenings or new interchanges as those improvements are captured under the major projects, which I know Wade will discuss momentarily. Okay, so once we got our projects in place, again, we wanted to kind of look at the effectiveness of each project. So here are the different project impact evaluation criteria that we applied to, get a good understanding of, can the project potentially improve safety or reduce delay? Of course, we also, again, factored in the input received earlier from our freight stakeholders and the public. So in doing that, we came up with what we called a project impact on truck operations score. So from there, we categorized those into three overarching categories, low, moderate, high. That was our freight operations impact category. And we did the same thing with project cost range. So anything lower in cost, that was considered the low project cost range category, and so on and so forth. And the reason we did this was to, again, kind of compare or evaluate the effectiveness of the project to the cost. So are we getting our biggest bang for our buck when we implement these improvements? So here's kind of the resulting matrix, if you will. So anything that scored 1.5 or higher, those were, freight investments that would be the most cost effective in terms of mitigating, freight hindrances or addressing freight deficiencies. Anything that scored as a 1 was moderately effective, and then anything scoring below 1 was least cost effective. So that it really wraps up the presentation. So our recommended action today is for the TPO board to receive the needs assessment for freight and goods movement, as well as the Hillsborough County Truck Route Plan update for approval. And with that, I can take questions.
Thank you, Lauren. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
So, where did you get the data for which which roads was owned by the city and which ones were owned by the county and at DOT?
We used the Hillsborough County Centerline data, which specified ownership and maintenance.
Because I know that the Hillsborough County has a webpage where you go in, it tells you who owns, but there's some issues where City of Flint City has owned property that has been passed over from Hillsborough County to city, and it has not been updated. So I just wanted to make sure that the data was corrected and that you did contact the city to get that correct information for them.
We did not contact the city. Like I said, we used the Centerline data, but we can certainly review it with you just to make sure we have everything correct.
Okay, I have to give it a GIS personnel because he's the owner of the system, so you have to let me know which ones. So if you would get that information to us so we can verify, because I know there's some, like Park Road, there's parts the city owns, the county owns, and FDOT owns. So we have 3 different ownerships in that road. So
Sure, I know it is quite confusing, but yeah, we would love to verify that information with you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Okay. So we need to take action on this, right?
Yes, recommend, if it is your choice, recommend that the board accepts the plan.
Do we have a motion to make the recommendation to the board to accept the plan as presented? With the verification of the ownership based on the center line data? So make a motion.
Motion to present the truck route plan update for approval.
Second,
This is Brian Zayas.
I'll second.
Amir seconds. So any further comment? None being heard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard, the motion passes. Thank you very much. Laura,
Thank
thank you
you
for your
all.
presentation.
Really appreciate it. Thank you again.
Very informative. Okay, the next item is our election of officers. And that will be under Wade's guidance.
There it is. As your current chair is, of course, Margaret Kuglins, Vice Chair Brian Zayas, and Officer at Large Amir Kawaja. The attendance for the past year, nobody missed more than two consecutive meetings unexcused. We do have a couple of absences. I believe Ms. Quinones had a couple of excused. Let's see. Mr. Baxter had an excused as well, I believe. Y'all are in pretty good shape for the most part on that. So we would need to either reaffirm or vote in any new officers that you so choose. So with that, it's.
The floor is open for discussion. Would anyone like to take over the chairmanship of the ITS committee meeting? Kids. I'll accept to remain as the chair.
Do we have maybe a nomination for?
Oh, is that how it goes?
For this, we don't have to, we can also just have a nomination if nobody wants to, for all three to remain, or at your choosing, if it's not happening particularly.
Okay, so with the three, does anyone are you not willing to serve? Do you want to continue to serve? First, Brian?
I would like to continue.
Okay, Amir, I know you're actually new, so it's a replacement.
I have a question. What are the duties for the officer at large exactly?
It typically only comes up, and it did in fact come up in the TAC meeting that we had last month. When the chair and vice chair cannot be present, you would then chair the meeting.
I would like to continue.
Okay, all right. Do we have any volunteers that would be interested in serving? Anyone online? Yay, I guess not.
Then do we have a motion, maybe from somebody who is not an officer to continue with our present slate of officers? Thank you, Dexter and Michelle.
To continue with your slate of officers for next year.
Thank you.
We have-
Cheryl, oh, you got that.
Dexter, yeah.
Michelle Jenkins.
Okay, with that motion on the table, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard, the motion passes.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And I will switch seats real quick.
Okay, Wade is switching over to become a presenter. So we're moving the status report, and he'll be reporting on the 2050 plan needs assessment for major projects. Thank you.
minutes. All right. Wade Reynolds, Hillsborough TPO. I'm the project manager for the major projects needs assessments. And just here to give you a brief status report. We just kicked this project off, so we are just starting out. Many of these projects will be familiar, a couple are new, but we'll go through them and the process that we'll be looking at over the next few months with the LRTP. Excuse me, the 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan update. So the sources for these major projects, there are a few, mainly requests from jurisdictions is where the new ones are going to come from. The existing local priorities, which are largely table 2 in the Transportation Improvement Program, those are unfunded projects that are existing priorities. And some regional priorities, those may be regional transit or regional roadway priorities or others. The FDOT SIS program, that's the Strategic Intermodal System. That draft is available through 2050. The 2045 to 2050 projects are in draft form. And the FDOT non-SIS projects, which we have with the exception of those that may come online in 2045 and 2050. We're working with FDOT central office on determining if there are any relevant projects at this time. So these are the cost feasible projects that were on the 2045 Long Range Transportation Plan. What you will notice is a number of roads. Largely, those are the blue lines that are meant to be widened. The yellow lines are also widenings as well. Some that's the diamonds, for example, on the interstate, we discussed some of that during the truck route plan update. Those are interchange improvements. Then projects such as the Howard Franklin Bridge are on here as well. Some that will actually come off of this because they've been completed are things like the Selman extension on Gandy Boulevard. And Paseo Almar, which has now been completed all the way from US 301 to 41, and a couple of others. But for the most part, this cost feasible plan anticipated that the all for transportation funding would, it would be approved and maintained. As that is not the case, we're probably looking at a more constrained system. So some of these projects that were on here as cost feasible in 2045 may fall off the cost feasible plan. Moving into the 2050 SIS cost feasible plan. This is all of District 7 projects, but just to focus your attention on I-75, I-275, and the Gandy Bridge. One project we're looking at, which you may have heard about in the past, is a new span of the Gandy Bridge and widening in Pinellas County to 4th Street. Some projects on State Road 60, a number of projects on I-4 and I-275. And then also north on I-75 there. And that is, and the West Shore Interchange and I-275 between downtown Tampa and the West Shore Interchange are also major projects in this list. So looking at some that we have received from jurisdictions to be evaluated, this is a map that we're looking to take to the public in our survey for the Long Range Transportation Plan. These are largely new projects. The green ones on this map are a combination of bus rapid transit and potential reuse of rail corridors. The South Tampa Spur there would be one example of that. The rail line along US 41 down to Brooksville, that is a major priority of the Manatee Sarasota MPO. And they are looking at, or the idea that has been floated is that whole line from all the way from Manatee County up to Brooksville, potential reuse of those lines. The other ones that you see from I'll just say Brandon to West Shore and downtown to USF, that whole sort of east, west, and north, south. Those would be BRT lines for the most part proposed, although we do have, you can also see in that area the tracks that went along 30th Street that are part of the previous corridor I mentioned. The pink here would be major limited access facilities, the Gandy Bridge, as I mentioned earlier, and an extension, possible extension of the Selman Expressway down 301 to Big Bend Road, with exits at, I believe that would be Gibsonton and Causeway, Gibsonton and 75. So those are some major ones. Also, the blue lines were lit on here, 672. Lithia Pinecrest, Highway 60, and County Road 39, all potential widening projects that we will be looking at in the TBRPM, the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Model, as well as some windings on US 92. The only reason they're different colors is we tried to do them geographically, divide them, sort of the South County windings are blue. The other ones are red and orange. The orange ones would be interstate projects. And the Veterans Expressway as well is about to undergo a PD&E for widening north of Van Dyke Road. This is just one page of table 2, existing priorities from new funding to give you an example of some of the other projects we'll be looking at. 19th Avenue from US 41 to 301, that would be from 2 to 4 lanes. Balm Road, Van Dyke Road, and the electric bus infrastructure, which would also be a major expenditure. But the other 3 would be good examples of the major projects that would have the potential to be included in the long-range transportation plan. So the next steps over the next few months, we will be modeling all of these projects together we'll be doing different model runs so that we understand the impacts of these projects, both individually and as groups. We have a MetroQuest survey that is going live later this month. I believe on the 17th is the plan. We would certainly value any help you might be able to give us in getting that out far and wide for people to take. And then we'll narrow down that list based on both project performance and on available funding, and determine what major projects are likely to be cost feasible looking out to 2050. So that is more or less it for now. I'm happy to answer any questions, and this will be coming back to you probably at your next meeting, which I assume will be in April or March.
March, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think we're March.
Great.
So on all the routes that you showed, they're widening projects, or there are other elements to it? So it's not necessarily looking to add capacity. Correct?
On both, this map is largely all capacity projects. And I did leave out one thing that I do want to point out now that I'm realizing it. There are some yellow diamonds there. Those would be potential new interchanges. One is south of the Little Manatee River on I-75. One is at I-75 and Harney Road. And the other one is 275 and US 41. So I'm sorry I didn't point those out. But yes, with the exception of the transit projects on here, the remainder that we are showing would be capacity projects. But those are not all of the projects that might exist, just major capacity projects, which have to be shown individually on the LRT.
So when I look at this map, I mean, it doesn't differentiate like the transit projects? Is there a
the
way
green-
that you could code and give a different color?
Oh, we absolutely will do that.
Okay.
The green lines on this one are all transit projects, though.
Oh, they are.
Not-
I'm sorry. I
Yes,
misunderstood that.
yes.
Okay. So downtown Tampa doesn't look so bad. Yes, we're very much in favor of a lot of transit.
All roads lead. to
Not
downtown
white.
Tampa, in this, yeah.
Yeah, I know we have different needs than the rest of the county, so, okay. Anyone else, comments or questions or? This is great. Yeah, planning, long-term planning is so important. I know it takes a long time to get there, but it's very important that we think comprehensively and together, especially that the borders, transportation, they don't know where the jurisdictional boundaries are. And so it's upon us to have that big picture. So very much appreciated for your efforts.
Well, I hope to have some of the performance metrics back for your next meeting. So look forward to sharing that.
Okay. Other comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
So you said that this is gonna be a survey online that people take?
Yes, the MetroBus survey is an online platform.
So I know like there's many other, like in Waimama, that you have people that don't speak English, they only speak Spanish, and let's be honest, they're not gonna go into online. Is there a way to tell them, hey, there's a survey for them to be aware?
Yes.
Or what kind of communication are you guys putting out there so they're aware of this?
We work with community groups to do that. We have in the past translated the survey, although I'm not the project manager on this. I believe that's been done. For those who may not have access to a computer, last time around, we printed out the full survey on 11/17 in English on one side, Spanish on the other, and took that out to community groups. We will be taking this to a number of different community groups, neighborhood associations, et cetera, over the next couple of months. We have a long list and plan on doing that. We actually, last time, 5 years ago, got record responses for a survey of this type, and we hope to do so again.
Are you also gonna have them like posted in like the libraries? A lot of people be saying
We have done that with kiosks in the past. I can find out if that's the plan for this one or not.
I just wondering, because I know a lot of people are interested in this, and I just want to make sure that they're aware. And you do have a lot of people that don't have computers to visit the libraries, and so it'll be there if they want to see it.
And even with libraries, that is a great point, and I will be sure to pass it along because we've had good luck in the past with posting even signs with QR codes for people to scan at libraries, schools, other places. So great ideas.
That was it for me.
Anything else?
All right, well, thank you all.
Thank you. And then Brian he looked it up real quick, and our next meeting is actually April 4th.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's not more.
that'll be easier on the schedule for this project.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, next on the agenda, we open it up for old business and new business. We don't have anything listed. So if you want to have open discussion on any items. It's great technology we have coming in, I-4 frame, ACM, data governance.
Just one comment on the I-4 frame project. I actually asked FDOT about that, if it was included in the E+C, the existing plus capacity for the modeling. But because it's largely operational improvements, it doesn't really get coded into the model that much as a major project, even though it is quite a major project, which was a surprise to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have a lot of reliance on the ability to monitor congestion, along those corridors and how to make it more efficient and through the monitoring. Using technology and the data. And then the data platform from DOT is supposed to be coming out soon. If you're not aware, on the Tampa Bay Smart Cities Alliance, there is a workzone data exchange meeting. I don't know how many people have been invited to that, and I don't know how they've projected that out, but that's February 4th or 5th. City of Tampa is close to having one network to manage lane and road closures and sharing that information on the same platform as DOT. And I know the county is working on it as well. I'm not sure how close they are. So that's going to be really powerful too, as far as sharing information and coordinating a lot of our construction, because it's not easy. There's a lot going on.
I have a question on that. So is City of Tampa and or Hillsborough County gonna be just doing construction lane closures on one dot network, or will they be doing maintenance lane closures as well?
Our goal is to have any kind of closure, so it's not just maintenance, and it might be a phased approach to it. So, yeah, the vision that I have for that is to have, use the, I think it's LiveLink is their app. So all of our in-house maintenance as well as all the contractors to get it. And so they'll be using it in order to indicate that they're active, they're an active work zone and they have their lane or road closed. Also, we plan to use it for special events. So we'll be able to show and map all our lane closures for special events. Because
Yeah.
we do have.
And fantastic. Update from District 7's point of view. Our ATMS software SunGuide is getting an update to have automatic pop-ups for our regional traffic management center operators when contractors will be closing a lane, so that they can manually verify with CCTV cameras. But for us, it will also be a phased approach. Initially, it will just be construction projects, and then later on, they plan to work in maintenance activity, lane closures as well.
Good, that's good to hear. Do you know where they are, by any chance?
So the project with Hillsborough County is advancing. I don't think we have a firm date right now. And I know we're going to have the construction projects on the system. I'm not sure about the maintenance. I have to find that out, to be honest with you. It's gonna be included. But we will implement the project, so it's gonna be done.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a firm date at this point. Should be the next months or so.
Yeah, we've been on this track for quite a while, so hopefully it'll be within the next month for us. And there's a lot, so.
I have a question for that. So I know for Hillsborough County, if you were doing a road closure, you put in the application and saying, hey, I'm doing a road closure, and you fill all your information, and then you get a permit number back saying this is what you're getting. Is that the same system that's gonna be with that? Like they'll get the contractor or the person that will fill that information and they'll get a permit back, or how does that work?
It will be similar, the process will be similar to what we have today.
City of Tampa, we're gonna have to modify our process. I'm not sure, I don't think from the public they'll see it. I think initially, the city staff will still have to, draw in the lane closures, because currently for right-of-way permitting, we permit the asset that's being constructed as well as the maintenance of traffic or the temporary traffic control. So they're, it's all under one permit, where the county, theirs is separated already.
3, 4, 5, 9, 1, 8, 1, 4.
It's not available. Sorry. So, yeah, for the county, I mean, for the city, originally, our city staff is gonna have to manage it to begin with until we get our feet on the ground on it solidly. And then we'll probably modify the process.
And will it also allow, after the fact, because I know there's sometimes for emergencies that you move in first and you do the permitting afterwards. Let's say there's a line break and suddenly you're moving everything in because unfortunately, whatever broke. So I know with the county, because I used to work for the county for the water department. So we used to have we'll get a permit after the fact saying, hey, we're after having a permit, say we're closing this after the fact because even though We moved the day before, but we're notifying now because we had to move the day. I'm just wondering.
Right, and that's really important from, with the city's perspective, it's really important because we do get citizen calls or we have requests. Sometimes other assets get damaged while a correction is being made. And so it's important for us to have it logged in to know who was working there when. So after the fact, would still be allowed. I'd like to work, that was one of the reasons why I want that live link available. So, when any of our emergency response contractors for a cave-in or something like that happens, they'd be able to notify in real time that they've got the link closed or there's some sort of disruption on the road.
And I do have another question. Sorry to keep asking on the questions. Are they also gonna be required to have a sign and seal MOT plans for any road closures? Because I know lane closures don't require an MOT sign and seal, but will road closures also require that? Because on county, for any road closures, you're required to do a sign and seal MOT, and you have to do 7-day notice notification if it's a planned event. If it's an emergency, you're just moving, but I'm just wondering too.
We do. The city still yes, we still require sign and seal plans. You can also reference the DOT standard plans indices. And then, the city now has a set as well that's a little bit more focused on pedestrian detours and some of the other elements that the DOT doesn't cover for the urban environment.
I think in terms of the MOT plans, we're not changing any of that. It's just gonna be the system implementation at this point. It's gonna be the same process for that.
And is there gonna be like a learning curve that's gonna be notified so people are aware of the, the new system and when it's coming alive? So they can kind of start looking at before it actually comes alive, because I know if there's a learning curve and everything new.
Sure, they're gonna take that into the timeline. Some of the points, reasons why we don't have a fixed timeline, it's just that we need to complete that.
Yeah, we'll have a redundant system until we get everything kind of caught up because there's thousands of permits. So not quite a switch that we could flip. Good questions, appreciate it.
I'm just a curious person, sorry.
No apologies necessary. It's all very good. That's how we get to collaboration and better solutions. Well, we anticipated it was going to be a short meeting. Any other comments? No? Yeah, we anticipated it was going to be a short meeting, but we knew that we needed to take action. So that's why it remained scheduled this early. So I really appreciate everyone's time. Again, the meeting's April 4th. For the next one, keep your eyes out for the IT or this Tampa Bay Smart Cities Alliance. Is anyone else working on anything? Or are we done? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. It was. Yeah.
Thank you, have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Does anybody else need a parking pass for crossing street?